So Elon Musk warns Federal Reserve may face a DOGE audit. Okay, Elon Musk is wanting to go after Federal Reserve next. He signaled that the Federal Reserve could face an audit by DOGE, stating all aspects of the government must be fully transparent and accountable to the people, no exceptions, including, if not especially, the Federal Reserve. Musk has long criticized.
So this goes back to JFK and what he tried to do with the Fed. Once you try touching the Fed, you're risking your life. And you know what happened to JFK.
The central bank, calling its workforce bloated and questioning its monetary policy decisions. Musk previously claimed that the Fed has a crazy high number of employees and criticized its handling of interest rates, stating in August that the Fed needs to drop rates and has been foolish not to have done so already. The Federal Reserve later cut rates in September, followed by additional cuts in November and December. Fed Chair Jerome Powell dismissed Musk's claim that the central bank is absurdly overstaffed, stating, "We run a very careful budget process and we're fully aware we owe that to the public, and we believe we do that." Rob, I think you got a clip of Jerome Powell, if you don't mind playing. Here's Jerome Powell.
Would you say that the Fed is overstaffed?
No, I would say that, overworked, maybe not overstaffed. Everybody at the Fed works really hard. It's a place where people work.
And a lot of this conversation right now about staffing numbers at different departments and agencies, it's going back to this sense of the taxpayer dollar, in terms of accountability there. But I guess I just want to ask you, is the Fed paid for by the taxpayer dollars? Can you explain to us what the burden is on the taxpayer?
So we're self-funding through our large balance sheet.
So when it comes
large balance sheet, bro, you print money. You print money. That's what makes it so radical. Of course, you give yourself some good allowances.
to the staffing at the Federal Reserve not coming from the taxpayers, is that right?
Indirectly, we give away all of our profits. We give back to Treasury,
on the
and those
printers,
profits
bro.
would be higher if we didn't pay for the Fed. So, in fairness, it does ultimately come. It's ultimately paid for by.
What does that mean?
Taxpayer,
Yeah, what
but we
are
are
they talking
in that sense. We're self-funded.
Self-funded.
Yeah.
Just one last question here. You talked about the different actors that are involved when it comes to levying tariffs in terms of paying that the exporter, the importer, the consumer. You said middlemen could be part of that. I guess I just wanted to ask you, do you know of any way in which to 100% guarantee that the consumers will not have to pay higher costs when it comes to tariffs?
Not really. It's not going to be easy to identify with any accuracy exactly where costs do fall, but I think it'd be hard to guarantee any particular outcome. I think we're just going to have to see.
Great, thank you.
Got it. So, by the way, the Federal Reserve has roughly 23,974 employees, and their operations are primarily funded by the interest they make off the securities they own. Okay, so that's kind of what he's talking about, where the additional money is being sent back to the Treasury. But Adam, your thoughts on this story?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that Jerome Powell and Trump have had a long-standing beef. I believe that Trump, when he was in his first term in 2016-17, he would basically demand that Jerome Powell would lower the interest rates. Jerome Powell wouldn't do it. It was sort of immune from Trump's criticism. I believe Jerome Powell's tenure at the Fed is up in 2026. Like, Trump appointed him, I believe, in 2016, and can you believe it's in 10 years later? And I think his term is coming up. But look, I think overall, if you had to give a grade to what Jerome Powell has done, I would say B+, A-. I would not say that he's done a bad job. The whole premise is the Fed should be immune from presidential directives and basically if Trump might feel a certain way and then all of a sudden he feels a certain way the next day, he's sort of holding down a steady ship, and I think he's doing a pretty decent job. We've gone through COVID. What's inflation at this point?
What do you think about Elon talking about accountability?
So as far as Elon goes, you know who can get it? Anybody can get it. I feel like every single institution, every single part of government should not be immune from going through this. You know how Santa has his list, his naughty and nice list, and he's checking his list and he's checking it twice. Every single part of government should be checked and double checked line by line.
And what if they're independent and taxpayers are not paying for it? What if there's a level of independence? Tom, do you think DOGE has the jurisdiction to audit Federal Reserve, or do you think that's a little bit of because of the way the money is being made, it's got to be a different level of accountability.
Well, I think DOGE has the authority, and a lot of people say, well, Federal Reserve is really the fourth branch of government, and they're somewhat autonomous. I mean, we've heard that dating back forever.
That's true.
Well,
the Fed, though the name says Fed, it's not from the government. It's a private run institution.
when Jerome Powell says, I think we run a very efficient operation, I think people are working very hard. Okay, maybe that's true. That's okay. Let's say it's true. But the best run public companies still, by law, have to have an audit every year. Mm-hmm. If you're on the stock market, you have to have an audit. You have to publish your quarterly reports. And even the best run public companies find opportunities to improve. So the don't bother me part of this, and that's not exactly what he's saying, but it is what he means, is I disagree with very strongly. I think DOGE has the ability to audit, and I think they should audit. Even the most best-run companies have an audit every year, so why shouldn't the Federal Reserve, especially with 23,000 employees? And by the way, I'd like to say something about what Powell said. Did you hear him at the end? He said, well, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where costs in the economy come from. Sure. You hear that? Yeah. Yet there's headlines out there saying Trump is causing inflation. So boy, maybe Jen Psaki should go work for the Fed. Apparently she's figured it out. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Fed themselves is saying, man, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where these costs are coming from. It's a little early. So, I think DOGE has the authority, and I think they should.
Didn't we just show a video on Tuesday of Ben Bernanke not knowing where $500 billion went?
Yep.
And wasn't he the chairman of the Fed right before Janet Yellen, who was the chairman of the Fed right before Jerome Powell?
These guys are printing so much money that they don't even know where it's going. How do you lose $1 trillion? Okay, so let these guys be. Let Trump and Musk watch out. They're going out into the deep. And you know that's where the sharks be. Peace out, everyone.